Before we begin Unit 1, I want to take some time to review how to round and how to convert decimals into percentages. For today's agenda, we're going to look at the place values. I'm going to tell you what to do when you want to round, go over some examples, and then we're going to convert decimals into percents. So here, let's begin with the place values. Now, when we have a number, we technically, if we have 4 digits, the first one would be the thousands, then the hundreds, then the tens, and then the ones. So usually we're pretty good with these values, such as if I give you a number like this one, you'll probably be able to read it. This is 1,362. What many of us tend to forget are the place values that come after you put a decimal point. So after the decimal point, we have the tenths, then the hundredths, then the thousands, and so on. Now we tend to forget these because if we see something like 23.72, even as I'm writing it, I'm reading it as 23.72. Rarely do you hear somebody reading this as 23 and 72 hundredths. If you want to apply this to real life, you might read it as 23 and 72 cents. That's probably the closest thing you've associated a value like this. That being said, let's take some time to learn that the value after the decimal point is the tenths, then comes the hundredths, then the thousands, and we're going to learn how to approximate these values. So let's take a look at what we need to do whenever we want to approximate a decimal. So in order to round, we look at the number to the right of the place value where we want to approximate. If the number is 5 or bigger, we round up. If the number is less than 5, we stay. So what exactly does this mean? Well, let's unpackage this with the upcoming example. So example 1, round to the nearest tenth. And recall that the value after the decimal point, that's the tenth. The 7 would be in the hundredths, and the 3 would be in the thousands. And the 6, that's in the ones place. So now if we take a look at our notes here, it says that we have to look to the number to the right. So the number on the right of the tenths place, remember the tenths is the one we want to approximate. This value is the one we have to look at, 7. So let's look at the number to the right. So this value, if the number is 5 or bigger, we round up. If the number is less than 5, we stay. So 7 is definitely in the category of 5 or bigger. So we're going to round up. So here, round up. And the 6.273 becomes 6.3. And that is our approximation. These squiggly lines mean approximately. Let's try another example. So here we also have to round to the nearest tenth. So we have 0.629 and the 6 is in the tenth place. In order to round to the nearest tenth, we got to look to the number on the right, and here we have 2. And 2 is in the category of less than 5. So if the number is less than 5, we stay. So in this scenario, we're going to have to stay. So our approximation is going to be 0.6. Alright, let's try a couple more, or one more example. Here we have to round to the nearest hundredth. The 3 is in the hundredths place, and remember we have to look at the number on the right. The number on the right here is 2, and 2 is in the category of less than 5. Since it's less than 5, we have to stay. So the 3 is going to stay as 3. So our approximation is going to be 0.73. This can also be written just as 0.73. Do the exercises that follow, and when we come back, I'll show you how to convert a decimal into a percentage.